Welcome back, America. One of the great stars in the House of Representatives, a good friend of mine, Byron Donalds. And you know, Byron Donalds, the reason why you've drawn a lot of attention from a lot of people isn't because you're slick, isn't because you want to be on TV or demand to be on TV. It's the opposite. It's because you're substantive and you came to Washington to do something. So I want to ask you about the border, too. When you see that in the House, you're really duking it out, trying to get bills passed to control the border, you did under Kevin McCarthy, you are under Mike Johnson and so forth. And then when you look across the way at the Senate, and you see that the Republican leadership is selling out not just the party, but the American people, not on a serious border bill, but a border bill that would raise a whole lot of money to more quickly process people into the country without vetting them. What is your takeaway from that?
Well, Mark, good to be with you. My first takeaway is this is why we don't listen to the Senate Republicans. This is why House Republicans have done a really tough job and the hard job of trying to find consensus amongst Republicans about what a good border security package looks like. We did that with H.R. 2. It would protect our nation, and it will also protect these migrants, some of which are sold into sex slavery, some of which are abused by the cartels and by the coyotes. It protects them as well. But what they did in the Senate is, once again, some ham-handed deal that would help the Democrats save face, give Republican leadership an ability to say that they did something. And if it became law, the American people would quickly realize nothing changed, except that the politicians patted themselves on the back. We're just not interested in that. And so that's why our position's been clear that negotiation, they can do whatever they want. But we're going to look at the details. And when the details came out, it was a bill that should never see the light of day.
You know, Byron Donalds, I keep hitting this issue. This is slavery. What's going on the southern border is slavery flat out, whether it's sex slavery, whether people are forced to pay back remittances, that's indentured service. It is slavery. And the Democrat Party is leading it. The Democrat Party is protecting it. The Democrat Party is trying to negotiate to basically keep the status quo with 5,000 illegal aliens coming in every day beyond belief. And the deaths that are taking place in America as a result of what's coming across the border, the drugs and so forth and so on. So once again, in their own way, the Democrat Party stands for slavery. The Republican Party was founded as the anti-slavery party. Why can't it be the anti-slavery party in the United States Senate today?
Listen, that's a very good question. And I think at the core of it, Mark, is this debate that happens in Washington between governing and leadership. And too often, some of my colleagues in the House and too many Republican senators say, well, we have to show we can govern. We have to demonstrate to the American people that we can actually keep the government moving. And that's not what the American people are looking for. We have to demonstrate that we can lead. We have to demonstrate that there are principles, there are some basic bedrock ideals that we are going to fight for. And there are legislative solutions that are going to put our country in the best position possible and put our people in the best position possible. If the Democrats don't want to go along with that, that's their problem. That's not ours. But we shouldn't just be trying to come up with these negotiated governing arrangements so the federal government can remain open. What we should be doing is leading. And, my biggest hope is that at some point, the Senate Republicans will join us to actually be leaders in this country and not just capitulate to the Democrats.
Byron Donalds, when we return, my question to you is this. Joe Biden does not want to run on his record Bidenomics. He doesn't want to run on the border. He doesn't want to run on any of this stuff. He wants to run on democracy and freedom. When we come back, can you please tell me what Joe Biden has done, not just as president, but in his entire career in Washington, D.C., to promote democracy and freedom? We'll be right back. Congressman Byron Donalds, my question to you is a simple one. Joe Biden claims to be the man of democracy and the man of freedom, and he's going to run on that against Donald Trump and the Republicans. Can you tell me, in his half a century in Washington, D.C., what exactly has Joe Biden done to promote democracy and freedom?
That's a great question, Mark. And during the break, I was really thinking about that. And to be honest with you, I got nothing. Zip. Nada. Zero. He's done nothing to promote democracy. The only thing he's ever wanted to do is be elected. And he's been doing that by any means necessary. You have talked about the plagiarism that he's engaged in. This is a man who sided with segregationists in the Senate when he first got to the United States Senate. This is a man who has repeatedly lied while he's in the United States Senate, all to accumulate power. So he's not done anything for America, our republic, for the continuation of democracy. Everything has been for himself.
And I think about this word freedom. It's funny, it never used to cross his lips. He rarely references the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. And then he runs on January 5th to Valley Forge. He couldn't do it January 6th because it snowed. We all remember what happened at Valley Forge. It was a horrific winter. He's no George Washington. But so he's very schizophrenic. You know, he used to agree with the attacks on George Washington, and then he hides behind George Washington at Valley Forge and talks about freedom and democracy. Can you please tell me, is this a man who believes in freedom or the bureaucracy to tell us what kind of ceiling fans we should have and what kind of automobile we can drive?
Listen, Joe Biden truly is the Manchurian president. He's not for the American people. He's for the bureaucrats. How do we know? Just look at his presidency. When COVID-19 was still going through the country, Joe Biden was actually spying on Americans, suppressing their speech, wasn't allowing them to share the information they had found trying to address health needs in the country. When cities and states were trying to open up, Joe Biden used the federal government to keep them from doing so. When we had members of our military who said, I don't want a vaccine, but I want to serve this nation, Joe Biden fired them and sent them home. This is not a man who has stood for America. This is a man who has used America to become president.
Amen. It's interesting, though, this word freedom or this word liberty. It's not really something you can associate with the Democrat Party. I mean, you can associate words like centralized government, a powerful police state, redistribution of wealth, economic socialism, cultural Marxism. But all of a sudden, he's Mr. Liberty. All of a sudden, he's George Washington without the wig. All of a sudden, he's the guy defending America. Isn't the truth the opposite? And isn't that typical with the left? They project onto you what they actually are and what they're actually doing.
No, that's absolutely correct. And the reason why he has to talk this way now is because the American people still want a country of, by, and for the people. They want a constitutional republic. They want a secure nation. They want an economy that's growing and thriving. They want poor people and poor kids to have an opportunity at a better life through work and through merit and through opportunity. That's what the American people want. But when Joe Biden and the Democrats actually explain their agenda, people reject it. When their agenda is on display like it is right now, people rebel and revolt against it. He has to lie. He has to dissemble. He has to project. But the thing that we've seen, Mark, is that this man has basically let Jimmy Carter off the hook. He is the worst president we have ever had. And this cannot be allowed to continue if the American people are going to thrive.
Well, my friend, I want to thank you and be safe and God bless you and take care of yourself.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.